It's game time, we ain't playing with you. It's game time, it's game time, we ain't playing with you. That's how we ball for y'all.
What up, what up, what up, what up? You are rocking with Doo-Wop. Yo, thank you for joining for episode 80. I don't know. Oh, guess we're holding on to that a little bit of summer, but can't complain, so let's try to enjoy it. But let's dive in some topics, man. It's always, I talk about the UFOs and all the things that they said they're seeing, and all these like senators is like coming to Congress or even coming up with all these stories, about their UFO sightings and stuff like that. You know, um, yeah, it was interesting just to see them talk about the UFO smacking into a missile and just keep going. You know, um, the fact that they have some footages on this and then actually sharing it with the public, it's a lot of talk. I talked about the mothership coming. The Altus. They say it's coming. I think maybe November still. But I hope it's not. But they're still talking about it. And that was really steam. But see that clip what they're talking about, I was like, oh wow, so that really happened, like a UFO sighting, and they said it smacked right into a missile and just kept going. Yeah, I always believe we're not alone. So even if there's other species and other galaxies out there, they probably have that type of advanced technology that we haven't even discovered yet, and they have something that we probably can help us move on and maybe make better with the technology. But for them to talk about that, I was surprised. But I'll play a clip. You know.
This was taken October 30th of 2024. This video is of an MQ-9 drone tracking an orb, or this object, off the coast of Yemen. You'll see that another MQ-9 launched a Hellfire missile. You cannot see that drone.
Are you aware of anything in the government, United States government arsenal that can split a Hellfire missile like this?
No,
And do whatever blob thing it did and then keep going? Nothing?
nothing.
All right, how about you, Chief Wiggins?
Nothing to my knowledge, ma'am.
Okay, and how about you, Mr. Borland?
I'd prefer to answer that in a skiff.
I have heard about events like this. I have heard about this event. Jeremy Corbell and I talked about it in one of our episodes a while back. We did not have the video, though. There are servers where there's a whole bank of these kind of videos that Congress has not been allowed to see, that the public hasn't been allowed to see. Occasionally, some of that stuff gets out in the wild and it comes our way. It should be going to you. The public should be seeing this stuff. And why you're not allowed to, I don't know. But that's a Hellfire missile smacking into that UFO and just bounced right off. And it kept going.
It kept going, and it looks like the debris was taken with it.
Yeah, what the hell is...
Yo, I don't know, man. Hey, I don't there's a lot of things that people don't want us to see. A lot of people don't want us to talk about. A lot of people things they don't want us to, you know, um, discover until it actually happens. They said the Men in Black, they flash that little camera, flash that little device to make sure we don't remember anything. Oh man, we'll pay attention to these things and see what happens. Is that the mothership? Is that the motherboard? What's on this way? What's into it next? But talking about things that people they really want to see. I see Charlie Kirk. Everybody's talking about him. I didn't know too much about him. I probably seen certain clips here and there. So I just looked up and see what he was about. But he was a podcaster, and he also, is a popular figure. That did was supporting Trump, and he had his own point of views and his own beliefs, and he was a big debater. He loved to debate different people. So he ended up being at a college campus, and somebody ended up shooting him, and he ended up killing, and died. Hey, some people have mixed feelings about these things, but just being a humanity person. He's still, he has a wife, he still have kids. You know, that's not something we celebrate. We never celebrate people's death. But even if you don't agree with his point of views, but then are we like, like praising him? Like, is he like, a figure of something that where we should be celebrating him? I don't think he did enough work in the world for us to really celebrate him. It looks like it's another tragedy. But we look at this in the world and how things are. Things are a tragedy. There's other people, other public figures, political figures, even being killed over senseless things. And it's not being publicized. So it's just funny how this is really being really a bright light and shined on. I mean, I don't know if this is a turn of things. Hope there's no retaliation, but they also seen they just recently caught the guy. And it's funny because his father turned him in. And his father was he's part of the I think he's a sheriff. So he's like part of the police force, and it looks like their whole family is basically Republican. So it has nothing to do with the. They don't look like. I mean, hey, I mean, they're probably gonna find some reason, find some way to tie it into these things, saying he didn't go. The things that he believed that was the reason why that person took upon himself to do these type of acts. But it was a white guy, going to college student. Said even he dressed up as Trump as a costume for Halloween. So he was a fan of Trump. So it's really, I don't think it's really a political thing. It's not a really political thing. I think it's really about the energy that you feed out there, and sometimes you put that bad energy out there, it comes right back, and it comes back around. The universe is definitely tricky about that type of thing. That's what I feel, I believe. But am I condoning anybody going out there and commit murder? No, that's definitely it's a tragedy. Um, Sorry that that had to happen. I'm a big believer of freedom of speech. And especially if you debate it. But he definitely he didn't deserve that. But the energy he was pushing out there, and his words, his was powerful, and he just wasn't, s- uh, you know, um, putting that type of good energy out there. Sometimes, what I mean. Hey, you got your beliefs, you got the way you feel, you're gonna express yourself, but you're gonna take it upon yourself to really drive in to go on a tour, basically to say this type of message and just continue saying it instead of just hearing or even being aware of how everything else is in the world, and how really how different things are when it comes to white and black. It's still different. Telling people go back to 1950 when there was slavery, because you said it's less violence. You kept saying there's more violence committing all that stuff. That the stats that you're looking at, you're not looking at. You're just being a good debater. You're being a good debater, but at the end of the day, but it senseless murder. So I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to be a thing. You should be able to express yourself, and then we should be able to talk about it. We should be able to sit down and have a discussion, and hear both sides of the story. Because some stuff he said all was true, but then the way he said it, the way he kind of went upon it, was the wrong way. But it's still senseless murder. So it shouldn't happen. But and it's just a tragedy. It's a tragedy things like that to happen. You put yourself out there, expressing yourself, and sometimes people are not gonna like what you got to say. Especially if you're pushing the narrative of not getting along with certain groups and certain sexuality and things like that. This world needs no hate in it. It should be nothing but love, understanding, and or even a discussion, and that's the only way we get to the bottom of what's going on, and how things can work. We definitely get being divided. That's not gonna accomplish anything. So But it's just it's a tragic situation. It's a tragic situation. Um, he said a lot of stuff, man. It shouldn't be Martin Luther King Day. Like a lot of these things, people don't agree with, and definitely with this, it's just a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot that he always had a voice opinion. Hey, voice your opinion. There's nothing wrong with that, but just be aware. We gotta still be aware of what we say and how we act and what we do. Just be more sympathetic with the people, feelings and it so you just don't be so these type of things don't occur, no things don't happen. But don't want no retaliation. It should be no retaliation because yeah, if you think the Democrats something to do with it, they had nothing to do with it. So it's nothing like that. So it's just somebody went out there and did some senseless murder for no reason because they couldn't take what one person had to say or his beliefs. That's just uncalled for. That's uncalled for, and his father felt that way. His father felt that way. That's why he turned them in. He turned them in on that thing. But it's definitely it's another thing that goes on. But this is Trump what he said. What they talked about it.
I think with a high degree of certainty, we have him
Right
in
now.
custody, right? In custody. Everyone did a great job. We worked with the local police, the governor. Everybody did a great job.
So a pastor was able to turn him in, or they got the family of the shooter to turn them in?
Well, it was a minister, and the minister went to a minister who was involved with law enforcement, by the way. And his good friend is a top U.S. Marshal. And they took it from there. And then it was a father got involved, namely his father, and said, we got to go in. And they, so I understand it. And again, subject to change. But, the facts are the facts. We have the person that we think is the person we're looking for. But they drove into the police headquarters, and he's there now.
Did the father know about what the son had done?
I don't know. I'm going to let you get all those questions later because I can't tell you how accurate. The bottom line is they have somebody that they think did it.
So yeah, so they think that they got the person. It says seen somebody running up top again. Again, man. It's just senseless. It's very senseless. And a lot of things happen in this world. So, but we can't take it in our own hands to. That's why you gotta voice your opinion at the polls. You gotta vote. You gotta do different things there and not take it in our hands to just go out there and commit senseless murder. So also we'll see what happens to that person. If he gets the death penalty or what goes on after that, and that's what I say from there. Yeah. But the U.S. Senator John, man, he said some things about calling out basically the shrimp that's coming into the U.S. I feel like some of the food that comes in the U.S. definitely has to be regulated, looked at again because I don't know if it's trying to it's so many different ingredients and different things. It's not healthy for people. It causes you all obesity, it causes different things, but hate to see shrimp. Shrimp is like it's not meat, so it's definitely like a pescatarian. It's in the seafood fashion, but they saying that it causes radiation. It's called a radiation, and it's going into Walmart. So that's just crazy he had to say, but
You could end up looking like if you eat some of the raw frozen shrimp being sent to the United States by other countries. If you eat it, why could you end up looking like the alien in the Alien? Because the shrimp was radioactive, which if you eat it will turn you, may turn you into the alien, and at a minimum
I don't know.
will
I haven't
cause you
seen
to go
something
an
like the
extra
way
year.
that picture he showed.
It's not
walking
being
around.
inspected. They're inspecting some of it, about 1%. The United Kingdom inspects 50%. Even China does a better job than the United States of America. This is unconscionable.
Well, it's got to be some change. It got to be changed the way the food is curating into the U.S. Um, there's nothing. I don't know what to eat no more. There's nothing good out here to eat. Now you talking about it could be caused radiation. Oh my god, and you turn into an alien. Oh man, I, do I believe it? I gotta believe it to see it. But definitely I believe that the shrimp could be bad. Definitely could be bad. They're saying these type of things. Uh, that is coming into the U.S. Certain food is probably becoming bad. But we'll see. We'll see how everything. Pay attention to it because with this technology itself. Because I talk about processing food and they're making meat, they're making labs and this and that. You know, uh, we might need another FDA to approve something like going on. This like, hey, this is chemicals. In certain countries, you go out certain countries, they ban certain things for you not to eat. Still even have different candies that or different coloring of the food, coloring of the drinks, coloring of all that stuff is kind of bad for you. It's nothing really natural. That's really healthy. Coming into the country because I don't know if it's about a money thing that it costs so much less to produce, so they approve it still, even though they know what they can cause uh, on eating and putting that stuff into your body down the line. But fortunately, they say yeah, we have a choice to eat it or not eat it. But sometimes you don't have a choice. You put it in certain environments that's all they have to eat. That's all these things we have the sources to go to. If you don't have transportation late at night, or you don't have people cooking for you, or your parents cooking, or you learning how to cook anything, you look around and that's what you want. You got to eat. But fortunately, these type of things is bad for you when you put it in your body. So you know, we just got to keep paying attention and being aware of what the food they have out there and what they're shipping to the U.S. and whatever we're about to pursue and put in our body. But yeah, like on that. Uh, mm. So again, a little bit of technology. Apple had the big event. They had that big launch. Talking about their new product. Launching with the iPhone 17. But it looks like people didn't see a big difference, so it actually they lost money. They said they lost money in their stocks. Um, I mean, in my opinion, nothing really stood out to me that really, really said, "Oh, it's a big change." People are tired of saying, "Hey, it's a better battery life, it's a better cameras, this and that." In my opinion, people want to see the product be different, want the different change. They want to see the product to be something spectacular that they're gonna put these money in because now the phones is so much money, thousands of dollars now. It's 1,000 over just for for these phones. We want these phones to do more than what they're talking about. But I will give them credit that they did have that iPhone Air. The iPhone Air is that looks like something new. I like that they came out with a new phone. I was saying that's like one of their thinnest phones that they ever made. So that's something new. I like the coloring of the color textures of that one. It's, like sky blue looks like at the silver or the black. I like that, and I like that it does have the processor and the screen with the 6.5. That nice size of phone. Camera looks like it's what 48 meg 48. So that's the same as the iPhone 17 that they just recently launched. So that's the only one that really caught my eyes is the iPhone Air because it's a new product, something that you would want to put your money on towards and see how it works. And having a thinner phone, that's something that's great because a lot of these iPhones get they're getting heavy. They feel a little more weight. And then they still said it's protected with the glass too. So it's always said it's drop proof too. A lot of them they say they make it, but it looks like the iPhone Air is built for good quality. But when you look, so that's one that I'm like looking forward to seeing how that does on the market. Um, the other one is the iPhone 17. compared to the iPhone 16. Not too shabby about that. The orange. I'm not an orange big guy fan. I don't know how many people in the world are orange fans, but that color, it's all right. But I don't think it's like spectacular. For everybody to just rush into the stores and go get it. But my attraction is the iPhone Air. I do like that. I like that. I like the thinner phone. So I think that's where it should be. It should be. So, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how we pay attention. See how it does on the market, and see if people go out and purchase it. But people are tired of seeing the same thing. So they felt like looking at the new one is like, okay, what else it does? Like, what's the reason why I should go out there and purchase this thing? But Apple is a great product. I'm a big Apple fan, big stand by Apple. I think they're just going through a little rough period of time right now, trying to get everything together. But they still have the Apple Intelligence, with the AI, and they still said they're investing $600 billion into the U.S. Giving back. So that's a lot of money. So if they feel that this product is strong enough, let's see what else they got. What else this thing, what this camera can do, or video, what else, what else is there for it to do? But like I said, iPhone Air, I rock with it. I rock with that. And then they also, talk about the the AirPods, the AirPods. The same with the translation. I mean, that's definitely cool. I talked about that too. So for them to implement that into the AirPods, I want to see how that really works. Is that really a translation of like? I know you can go to different countries. You can look at already. You have different apps and different ways that you can transfer on language barrier. If they don't have if they don't speak English or we don't speak their language, we can easily communicate with them. So, um, is it like you don't need data or you don't need like you can use the phone? Like how there got to be something different that makes people. Because anything right now that you're saying, any like AirPods already is like you can use it as a translator. So I want to see what's the difference about that and how people make that a difference. Because I'm a fan of AirPods. Those the sound quality is nice. The way they they said they improved it, so where it's not, it's like more with your ear now, so it doesn't fall out. Because they do have slipperiness. But it's been interesting to see. Wait till everything goes called out to play, and then give it a try, and then test it out, and then be the judge of it. So, you know. But talking about translations and all this other stuff, technology, something called is in the works called like Ultra Ego. It's a new technology. It's unbelievable, man. So you can talk to people do it like telepath, and you put on this like, machine, and you actually get and 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 can read. I don't. I guess the way that it is, that you don't even have to talk. You don't have to talk. It basically you think whatever you're gonna say to the person, another person can put that on, and they can actually understand what you're saying. So you can basically have a full blown conversation where nobody's talking in the room. It's just you're telepathing of the words and the telepathing of their words. But the crazy part about it, you can have it into any language. Like so, that's even more advanced. It's like if you can still teleport and they don't have to, you can speak a different language. Like that's crazy. You know, um, it's definitely going to give the Neuralink a run for the money because you don't have to implement no chip or anything to your brains or anything like that. They just easily can just put it on and get ahead and talk through it without actually talking. So I seen a clip of that.
This is the world's first nearly telepathic wearable. You will soon be able to speak without making a sound. It's called Alter Ego, and while all we have is a marketing demo, I really hope this works as advertised. My grandmother died of ALS, and watching her mind trapped in a body that no longer functioned was beyond tragic. So this tech would be an incredible breakthrough. Here's how it works. It's a non-intrusive device that has tiny cameras on board to make sense of the world around you. So you could ask it questions about what you're seeing, again, without speaking, and it'll respond back to you in audio. Now, where it gets almost telepathic is that you can communicate with others wearing the device without saying a word. Your thoughts can even be converted into any language. And it works by detecting the subtle signals that the brain sends to the speech system before words are spoken aloud. Yet another example of sci-fi coming alive. And while I'm sure people are going to figure out how to abuse the tech, it's an enormous advancement for folks with neurological disorders and speech disabilities. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Follow if you want to stay updated with the most important stories in tech. And I'll see you in the next one.
Where do you want to get lunch after this? Thai food could be good.
I talk about the telepathic, being telepathic, and I talk about the Neuralink, them he's playing the Call of Duty, through his mind and controlling everything, or people playing games through his mind. But if this actually is something that can just put on and you can just talk through, it's just so advanced. It's so advanced where our technology is moving. And then what pretty soon how the future is gonna look. So yeah, it's another crazy technology. Yo, pay attention to see what's going on there. Oh, let's get some music, man. Yo, you know, Young Thug, man. Young Thug, he dropped some new music. He's been in the whole, headlines, are good or bad, and how people feel with how Young Thug is, um, what was acting when he was actually locked up from all these phone calls. So he was on Big Bang. He was trying to like just explain where these phone calls was was coming from and where he was at when these phone calls were going on. Like saying it was like a year ago when he was locked up. He said he was going through some times, this and that. Uh, some tough times where he didn't know basically he was talking out his mind. Um, it's just a bad lesson that the cameras is on. And and the recording is on. Like they own that. The government owns that. So they can just they're in control of that. So you got to watch what you're saying on these type of devices, especially when you're locked up, because they tell you it's recording. So somebody must have had got to hold all these tapes because he said it was like a year ago, and he had everything sponged, like kind of just had it all taken off, and they already collected this information before. Oh, so they was holding on this stuff for him to before the release. So he was just talking all kinds of stuff on there. But reason I talk about that, he made a track, basically apologizing to everybody. Saying like he's miss his dogs, basically miss Wham, little baby. He said 21 Savage still talk to him. He said apologize to Drake, apologize to Future, Metro. So he's just doing a lot of, emotional what's going on. Yeah, he misses his I guess his friends and stuff like that. Do we like to see this side of the Young Thug? I don't know. I guess he's expressing to the world and everybody and saying he's not around. Oh, yeah, Gucci too. Say it's Guwap. Um, even when he talked about Lil Durk, he said, he didn't really mean that. He said he tell it all people that he talked about to his face already. They already know. It's not like he's talking behind their back. I don't know. You know what I mean? These things is definitely it's tricky. It's tricky when you get into the feds. You get into the they got this information. You know you but hey, I'm a taxpayer citizen, so I don't know nothing about nothing. But um, yeah. So it look like he's dropping soon. He's planning to drop new music. Getting everybody talk about this, what's going on, and probably put his point of view and show his side of the story. You know, some people don't want to hear about it. Some people are like, it is what it is. But he's probably gearing up to drop some album. Probably trying to drop some music, testing the water. He dropped another project, dissing people and things like that. So, but Van Bill's saying like, yo, Young Thug, you didn't learn your lesson, man. You gotta stay out of this stuff. You know, you just finally got free. You finally beat the charge. And kind of should like stay low or stay humble about these certain things. To stay away from all the drama and all that extra stuff. You don't want to end up having or getting involved in anything that can probably bring you right back into the same situation that you just beat. So, but said they seen a post that Drake did like when he had put the song out. So we'll see. Does he would get some good music out of that or get some good clearings out of it? Because I'm sure has music with all these artists, but now these tough situation, they thinking if they want to release it and release it and be, actually put it out with them and make sure everything works out smoothly, just clearing everything. So, we'll see what kind of music he got coming out. Pay attention to that for the new music. Also I seen he dropped some new music. Lotto and Ice Spice. That was a surprising collaboration that came out of nowhere. So a lot of those tracks. So it's got. All I know that video was fire. The video was so fire. You know what I'm saying? All I gotta say, they both could have been strippers in their past life if the music didn't work out. Respectfully, to the beautiful queens. But definitely sexy. The video was sexy. Song looks like it's definitely gonna rock out. On the strip clubs. Some feel good music. Out in Italy. Feel good music. Hey, definitely. Like I said, surprising. They came together. And they even jumped on the guys and just streaming had them kind of just together to see them together. So it's like they're promoting it together. They're cordial. It looks like they cool getting along. Even in the video, they was being like girls, slapping each other asses and shit like that. Like having fun. Putting all that drama stuff behind them and all that competitiveness. Actually getting together and putting a I song together. So that was cool to see that. It's cool to see them two squash whatever they had to squash and then get along, you know, and make some good music. That's what we all want to hear is some good music, some good vibes and things like that. So shout out to them. Shout out to a lot on Ice Spice coming together and doing that. Talking about even like streaming Kai and Sinet and things like that. He still got the Mafia 3 going on. And I shout him out because the way he bringing different things together. Like he had Snoop, with Khalid recently. They talk about hot boxes, hot boxing the vehicle. That's the thing that they do. You're bringing uh Kehlani on, Kehlani on there. Different artists on there too. Seen Lotto. I mean, Malala was on there. Lotto was on there. Tisha from Martin, she was on there. So different people coming to support them and then show like Kim Kardashian. She was on there. She kicked it right off the first bat. So just having these different people show up. And Marlon Wayne, yeah, Marlon on there with his Marlon was on some energy drink, so he was keeping it a comedy. It looked like he fit right in because that's his hour. That's he's fun having fun. That's what he likes to do. Just get along with everybody. So it's still like putting his own thing together, his own shows together, and people coming out there to support him. So it's cool. It's cool to see. It's cool to see somebody do that and even bring stories that maybe people never heard of or didn't hear. So to see a different side of the artists and things like that. So definitely dope. To keep it going, keep it going. You know, um, So man, us, Netflix, man. I'm always big on the Netflix. Um, Everybody tuned in to watch the fight. Tuned in to watch the fight. Talking about the Canelo versus Crawford. Crawford actually holded it down. He's like the underdog kind of. Everybody thought Canelo was gonna go in there and just maybe knock him out, or he wasn't gonna. He can't just really prove himself to see can he stand the test with the big dogs. 'Cause, Canelo, he had some great fights under his belt and won. So for Crawford to go in there and do what he had to do, and stand toe to toe with Canelo, and really just give him a show and put on the show, ended up taking his belt. Ended up taking the belt, so he ended up winning. But he's for a good standout guy. He ended up giving Canelo his belt back. So because his wife and his family was there, so he ended up giving it back. But definitely on Netflix, definitely doing something different. So for them to really tap in with his boxing, it's good to watch. Good to watch to see. Good to watch to see and have on Netflix. Be a subscriber to Netflix. Something actually to look forward to watching too when it comes to the fights. So like that and keep they on. Also talking about Netflix, Beauty in the Black, man. Beauty in the Black, Tyler Perry, season 2 is back. I'm locked in. I'm listening. I mean, I'm watching. Trying to get through the different episodes. Things like strong 8. I think it's strong 8 episodes. If I'm not mistaken. But Kimmy's in charge. And everybody has to bow down to her. How the tables is turned. Add her in there with the strip club. Uh, Working against her will and her friends, Angel. So for all that to still go around and turn around, and now tables are turned. I like to see the different the storylines that's going on. Definitely a spicy show. It's definitely a spicy show, and things is going on that it's a different, generation, different now. He putting tying everything together. So I'm still paying attention, watching Beauty in the Black. I like the first season. I'm glad the second season is going on. It's good. It's good. It's good television to watch. So definitely go check out Beauty in the Black. It's a lot of drama, family drama. Uh, so you definitely go check that out. It's definitely something to watch and keep watching. You know, uh, but yeah. So what talking about Tyler Perry, man? Yeah, Tyler Perry. Has been in the headlines a little bit. I'm surprised. What channel was it? 7 or basically ABC. They had the guy who he was on the show, one of the shows. I forget which. Mixing with the president type of show, but he's an actor and he with Tyler Perry. He's accusing him of these things. He went on there and told his side of the story. His story. Here, do it. Do I believe him? Nah, I don't. I don't. I mean, at the end of the day, if you put yourself in dealing with an actor and a big person, and you kind of like developing or whatever relationship, whatever it is, um, I don't know how true these things can go, but whatever they do behind closed doors, that's your business. But for him to say accuse him of these type of things, I don't really believe too much of the story of how he gave him a car. He said he goes over his house multiple times, this and that and all that. Hey man, I I don't know what goes on behind them closed doors, but the way he was acting, like he'd say, "Oh, I'm gonna sue him for these 280 million because I want to make sure he stopped and this doesn't happen to another actor." I don't pay attention to that. But they made it big. They made it big now. So, but it's like, do you think really Tyler Perry? I mean, I don't know. I don't personally know these people, so it's just the way his story was acting. I didn't really believe. I didn't believe that he's the victim. He's the victim. You know, it looks like a get money quick scheme. You know, he's no longer probably acting, and he was trying to help him get a said he was trying to help him get a story, and then but he owns the storyline, and now he's not gonna act, you know, they're not gonna move forward with that. I don't know what the relationship they had and what was going on, but it didn't sound like he was doing anything to harm him. It wasn't like he was doing anything to go against him to the point where he's trying to collect 280 million. Well, that stuff be sounding crazy, man. That be sounding the money, what you be acting for, and for what, you know, like what is the drama what is the trauma you sitting there saying? But you know, we'll see how far that goes, see how far that headline goes, and or even if Tyler Perry has to answer and see what his side of the story, what he has to say about these type of things, and we go from there. But that's just crazy how that story unfolded. Oh, well, let's get into some motivation. Motivation. I need a motivation. Right. So this motivation says avoid focus on what you can not do. Instead, focus on what you could do and accomplish without expecting approval and recognition from others. You know, this I was like, oh yeah, you know, that's like that talked right to me when I heard that. I was like, oh yeah, you know, definitely want to try to just focus on what you could do. Even never, you know, I mean, you can try to improve the things you cannot do, but that's, you know, focus on what you could do. You know, definitely focus on what you could do and what you could accomplish without anybody praising you, without anybody saying, "Hey, you're doing a good job. Keep doing it," or they're recognizing the great things that you're doing or the things that you're trying to do. Nobody's gonna recognize it, you know, until it actually is done and you achieve what you're trying to put out to do and you put out the hard work or even the recognition. I mean, don't do it for that. Just do it for yourself. You know, do it for your personal goals, personal what you want to achieve and what you want to accomplish. So yeah, so that's what I got at when I heard that. You know, yeah, that's what I got. Well, you know, that's what I got for everybody today. But thanks for joining for episode 80. That's crazy, 80, man. Round of applause again. So you've been rocking with Doo Wop, and in the meantime, between times, peace.
I love it. You guys are so great.